And in recovering your stars, this guy has a little bit of credibility, more than Fonseca, because he played in Serie A. So maybe that's a key to get everybody on board and rowing in the same direction.
Who will meet Inter in the Supercup final? Find out today when Juventus take on AC Milan right here on the Golazo Network and Paramount Plus. Two teams who have fallen short of expectations. And for Juventus, they're unbeaten in league play, but 11 draws have them 6th in the table, and AC Milan below them in 8th, and just made a managerial change. Today will be the first match for the new man in charge, Sérgio Conceição. And in case you need a refresher, here's a look at the managerial profile of Conceição. 3 league titles in Portugal and 11 trophies won during his time at Porto across 7 seasons. And today, a new chapter begins with AC Milan, who needs some help, Cupo. They need some help. If you're Conceição, what are the most pressing things right now on the list of to-dos for AC Milan?
On the list of, I mean, there are many, but priorities should dictate. For one, he needs to lean into his experience to sort of help this AC Milan side. We've seen him start his career at Porto in 2017, and one of the things that stick out to me was he needed to free up some funds and make some pretty difficult, challenging decisions, including the sale of Andre Silva, their star striker at the time. He brought in some loanees to fix some of the thinness to their squad because they certainly lacked depth, and then implement a style, his own, and just restore some of what it means to be an FC Porto player. I think he's going to need to tap into some of that because AC Milan are very much in need of reminding that they are the Diavoli. They need to restore some of that to the club. He also has the experience of doing a lot with little, including him and his Porto side knocking out Juventus in the 2021 Champions League. A 10-man Porto finished off Juventus, and he does have this fight to the end mentality that he instills in his players. With that, they need to address the defensive issues that we've seen at AC Milan, especially this season, chiefly Royal. We have the issue of Emerson Royal, who just is not very good with the ball at his feet. He's not good on the carry.
You don't need to say everything after good. You don't need to say.
Tell us what he's good at, so we could.
You know, I felt like maybe I should, for some of the folks at home that don't pay attention to the day in, day out trials and tribulations of the AC Milan defense. However, he is incapable of getting a solid cross off. He just is their deficient weakness in that back line. With that being said, we also saw a significant slump out of Theo Hernandez, who has been a shining light for them and also for France. And I think that spiritually also speaks to how far Fonseca in 5 months had eroded a relationship with key players, including Leao, his fellow countryman, sadly enough. And I think he needs to restore relations with all of them because the relationship right now there is so fractured. And I think that he's very good at doing that and getting the buy-in from players, which we've seen in the past. It's, are you capable of replicating that in a tight timeline like you had done previously in Italy? Again, experienced with Serie A, player, had been at Inter, did a boomerang at Lazio, had played for Parma. The time is now, right?
Yeah, so here's a look at those 3 key initiatives that Cupo just so beautifully laid out for Sérgio Conceição as he begins this new chapter with AC Milan. And guys, one of the things that we also have talked a lot about on our match day shows with AC Milan this season is that they just seem to be so void of an identity. What will the identity of this team look like under Sérgio Conceição, based, Nico, on what you've seen from him during his time at Porto?
And that's the only thing we could base it off of, but similarly, Ruben Amorim had a very clear-cut identity when he left Sporting, and now at Manchester United, you don't know what it is. You don't know what direction to look at it. You have no clue. So, without comparing it too much of the situation going on at Manchester United, there is some sort of crisis energy around Milan because they didn't know what they were under Paulo
big
Fonseca.
Crisis energy. Sorry.
You need to give this team some sort of look and feel because it didn't have any. So Conceição, again, there's a balance to his system. Yes, he likes playing in the wingers, and personally I believe that it'll benefit Pulisic because other than Chukwueze, Pulisic is the strongest right winger. Not only that, he's a utility player. Sure, he can play in the middle. hopefully he has proven that he can be one of the main guys, just like he has been during so many doubts in this first half of the Milan season. It's a team that is balanced with the two holding midfielders. I'm looking at Gazzetta. Gazzetta have him in a 4-3-3. I wonder if he'll go out in a 4-3-3, if it's going to look like that. I'm very interested. I don't know. No one knows. That's the issue. Ask me this question in a month when we finally start seeing some sort of pattern with Milan, because yes, you can say everyone is working more intense, and yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
They've been dog crap for the first half of the season for Milan standards, and now this new guy comes in. Of course, you're gonna perk up a little bit, and then that he needs to. Sorry, the last thing is most important: recover Theo and Leao.
Yeah. Yes, 1,000%. I think that the comparisons and also the contrast between Fonseca and Conceição, because I feel like they're not terribly dissimilar in their demeanor. They're both very hard-nosed, like I expect. I just think that Conceição is in a better position, being a serial winner, to make certain demands that he can command more respect from the players and say, here's the path forward. I think that that's one thing that will be a positive, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
But we do also know that he tends to value this workhorse mentality and those who put the effort in over technicality, which I think there'll be a happy medium that they arrive at AC Milan. But I am interested to see how Christian does get used. I say even if he is used in a 10 capacity, Conceição has a unique way of even implementing 10s because he'll have them pull wide. So TBD, but yeah, I mean, I think that
there's going to be movement in this as well.
Oh, for sure. But again, Reinders has been having a standout season. I expect that to continue without interruption. I think that figuring out the back line, but especially the consistency. There were so few times that back line was replicated, used over and over again, and just reinvigorate those relationships, especially the center back pairing of Chao and Gabia. Chao is still very green, which I don't know that I'd expect him to be at this point, but he does still make some really critical errors in that back line. Not to mention expectations of Conceição is like you need to be a good ball playing center back.
I think also having seen them live in Champions League, the one thing I'm going to expect and the big shift that I'm going to expect from AC Milan prior to Conceição's AC Milan is they're going to be a little bit more defensively disciplined, and maybe that comes from drilling in the team a little more, but also setting the expectation a little higher than what Fonseca had. He will not put up, Conceição will not put up with defensive flaws and defensive mistakes, and I was just in the wrong space. He's just not going to put up with that. So I think we're going to see a team that's going to at least have a higher expectancy and expectation, and maybe that pulls them back a little bit, and we don't see them attack as much early on. Defensively, he does not want to give up any goals.
And in recovering your stars, this guy has a little bit of credibility, more than Fonseca, because he played in Serie A. So maybe that's a key to get everybody on board and rowing in the same direction.
And Conceição, his son, on Juventus.
Yeah, the daddy derby.
The daddy derby. We love that. That's fun. Okay.